Still breathing, still alive, and if you're watching this, I presume you are too. That's a thing. That's a thing to reckon with, being alive. I think people are trying their best to have a good experience, and I salute them for that. I also am trying to do that. And one of the things that I find can be a good experience is to use astrology as a way of exploring what it means to be alive in this shared experience. I just got a notification that there's a new substitute teacher request, but I already know that that school is about 40 to 50 minutes away and gas is $6 or $7 here, so I don't really want to give energy to that kind of a gig. 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe. How about 10? How about 5? How about the school that I could walk to? I'm very sensible and practical about these things, but anyways, y'all are here to hear me tell a star story. This is something that I do because, well, in order for me to keep this capacity to tell these kinds of stories alive, I need to practice it. But I do want to say that I'm creating them based off archetypes, which I do think are grounded in really ancient ideas about what it means to be human, what archetypes are present. I'm a fallible person, but I'm sharing these ideas because I enjoy doing it. And this is an interesting one because it is a new moon that's occurring in Scorpio. At the time of this conjunction between the sun and the moon, which is what makes a new moon, the days will be as bright as they always are, but at night they will be dark. You will not be able to see the moon shining the light of the sun back to us. And yeah, that's always the case for the new moon. But I guess part of the reason that this one's a bit different than other ones is because there's, with moving bodies, the chance that light will be intercepted. So if y'all are the sun shining towards me, I'm the earth, and then the moon is coming around. There are when it moves right in the way. And whenever the moon and this is blocking the sun, it is, from our view, the sun is eclipsed by that moon. So that's happening. That's happening. There's a solar eclipse that's happening the same time. Now, it won't be visible to those of us in the United States, but if you get up towards Russia, you know, there's some stuff going on in Russia. Not just an eclipse, if you know what I mean, but that's happening up there. And that's a real... The stuff that's happening in Russia is really happening, and the eclipse is really happening. Whether the two are associated or not is sort of the game of astrology or the occult practice. Like, is it a coincidence? There are all kinds of coincidences that occur, and humans like to see patterns, and we want to take our experience and relate it to the greater universe. Some people say that that practice is folly. Some people would say that it's beautiful. I mean, it's a practice. I'm doing it. I've disclosed enough. Constantly disclosing that I don't know, that I don't know, that I don't know, that you should be aware of that. But maybe there's something about this story that will help you. To begin, we begin with the sun. The big bright light that is exerting enough gravitational hold on us to keep us moving around, to keep us flowing. That sun has just made it into Scorpio. I had a vision of having it displayed on here, but the projector is very loud, which makes it hard to hear. And also it has to be very dark. So I would need to close the blinds, listen to the loud projector, might need to get a microphone. Ultimately, not too many people are watching this, so it seems kind of like, what's the point? Would they watch it if it had higher production value? Maybe. I'm wrestling with that. It's just a person talking about the universe in a serious way, using a ancient system that may be nonsensical. Humanity seems nonsensical. Anyways, the sun has just moved into Scorpio. The moon has just moved into Scorpio. We begin with the sun. The sun is in charge of the constellation Leo. It is in Scorpio, and that means that it is at a square to its like home base. Is the sun something that suffers in Scorpio? The fiery big sun, which likes to be in Leo, which likes to be in Aries, does it struggle in Scorpio? I would say it's neutral. It does not share more of its power like it does in Aries and Leo, and I would argue a little bit in Sag, but it also does not lose its power like it would in Libra or Aquarius, where that light actually suffers, struggles, if you will. It's definitely on the Libra side of Scorpio, but it's still in the center. It's made it past the troubled energy of Libra. It's moved away from the like, I have analyzed the opinions and balanced of Libra, and it's moved into the, this is the action that I am taking. This is the calculation that I have achieved. This is the direction that I will now exert all my force. Scorpio has an intensity to it. Scorpio has a calculatingness to it. It is the stinger. It is associated with like the sexual organs and the excretions all down there, bodily fluids, and just getting rid of waste and squirting semen, like, you know, all the different things. Check out my links. That energy for the sun is secretive to a degree. It's not the most, it's warrior vibes, so it can absolutely be on your side, but it's not afraid to fight for what it is wanting. And yeah, again, neutral placement. Now, that sun is conjunct the moon, also in Scorpio, and the moon in Scorpio is distinctively unhappy. If it is most thrilled to be in Taurus, this conjunction, this moon is in Scorpio, where it is sort of at its most unhappy. It's most stingy, it's most ouchy, it's most frustrating. So the lunar, nurturing, reflective, yielding, closest to us, maybe our bodies, the moon in Scorpio is suggesting that the body, the emotions, the sort of kind of really pressed for defense, right? Whereas in Taurus, it's more like, here I am, eating grass, sharing. My moon is in Taurus, so this is the opposite moon to me. It's a very invisible moon too, right? So before we had technology and equipment to locate things with satellites and telescopes, you know, you just more or less, whatever you happened to see on the day, you saw. Probably why these events were a little more, I guess, talked about or of the focus of the ancients, because, you know, that was one of the things that you could watch. The movie of the heavens, a very slow-paced movie comparatively to a lot of the super fast images just being super cut in front of us. Very stimulating. Anyways, that conjunction, that new moon in the sun and the moon in Scorpio, is featuring a neutral sun and a moon that is struggling. Though, it doesn't really end there, because Venus, the goddess of love, I should be showing you these things, but you could obviously pull up a chart. I could put that in the links. I will do that. Then you can have that up. You can have me side by side. Do a little work, okay? I don't want to have to do everything for you, because live doing these makes it so I don't have to upload them. Come on, guys. Work with me here. Book a session if you want one. Anyways, Venus is also there. So, right there. I guess I could do it like this. This Venus energy. Let's try that. Yes. This Venus energy. Compromising. I'm compromising. Work with me. Sun and Moon and Venus all together. Venus is in Detriment in Scorpio. The Moon is in Fall in Scorpio. There's a matter-of-factness to that. It's as if saying, like, of all the places that these could be, these are not where they want to be. They have to work harder to manifest. So people who have Venus Scorpio or Moon in Scorpio, you will actually have to work extra hard to cultivate your Moon-ruled and your Venus-ruled things. So that means if you have Venus in Scorpio, your relationships and your loving, pleasureful connection energy, your beauty energy will have to be fought for, struggled for, accepted, surrendered to twice as much, let's say. Just like it suggests that it's ouchier, it's more combative. It's harder for those things to do what they can do. Now, obviously, people accomplish and share and experience the world. Everyone does. We're all a part of it. There's probably no escape from any of the archetypes, from any of the experiences. Though, some people, it's probably easier for them to, let's say, find love, or to really honor their body, you know, or their emotions, like, to really feel safe, to really feel certain things. Like, yeah, there's disparities. So whether or not this applies to you directly, the story is spot on. I mean, it's a combination. It's about the interaction of the story and you, and of course the astrologer and the person who's getting read, the client, if you will. Free on Instagram for me, or paid privately. Those are your two options. I want to be compensated for my time. You can do it in private or do it publicly. Both benefit me. It's about benefiting. I'm trying to make a living for myself. I'm trying to offer something. Anyways, this Sun, Moon, Venus conjunction is very close to the eclipse point. Venus is struggling, the Moon is struggling, the Sun is neutral. So it is an ouchy thing. And eclipses, for the record, as we were talking earlier, they mean that something is blocked. It is the shadow. It is interference to... It's a blind spot. It's a blind spot. If you had the desire to see the chart of my face, this makes it harder to do it. Something is in the way. So Scorpio corresponds to a specific region of your chart, so look at that region of your chart. If you understand how the system works, it will point to a specific story. For me, this means that there's something about my relationships with my sibling energy, or the people that I'm like very close, where something will be triggered. And oddly enough, there's a person who is absolutely like that. For me, she's not my blood sibling, but I mean, I have those too, but there's a person that's coming back into my life at that same point as the last eclipse. It is kind of remarkable how that was a coincidence. But again, I don't allow myself to become superstitious. Like, I keep my mind level. But I also am okay with exploring how to work together better with humans, and this is a tool to do that, potentially. Anyways. This ouchie point, right, is got this very thick red line to Pluto. Pluto is not even a planet anymore, right? Like, I think it's something that's made it in, but it's also not what we think it is. And I think that's all of those myths needs to accompany Pluto. It is an object that is very, very, very far away comparatively to the moon, which is pretty damn far away. It's several Earths, 30 Earths or something. Like, it's a long ass way. Okay, so something that maybe we know is there, but we don't really think affects us, and it may not affect us as much as we think it used to. This is a very deep, very subliminal, very slow, like I mean, I think a good word for it is like evolution, transformation. Like it's like it's a very deep thing, and that square is pretty damn close because it's nice and thick here, and yeah, it's something deep and transformative, something, a balancing act from just like it's gritty, it's excavative, it's this is how society gets things done. This is the system. This is the sticking to it to accomplish the thing. It's the grind. Winter's coming kind of a vibe. We gotta be ready. Meet Scorpio, which is like, winter's not here yet. I still have some like things that I can do to like really get what it is that I want, really fight for what it is that I need to accomplish my vision. Like, so there's this major, I'm gonna accomplish my vision, I'm gonna get through fall. Like things are starting to die. Like I'm starting to see, and I know that I need to be on my game. I need to harvest that last little bit of this. I need to accomplish this, because once it comes around to cold time, it won't be possible anymore. Like it's take, go, but also there's this like kind of struggle against there's this warrior and this pull. For me, it's my creative abilities. I'm like, my ability to communicate. It's like this like fucking like, you will die eventually. Like you don't get to be in this form. Like just write about it, share it, talk it. Like there's this powerful like pulling. It's like something about pleasure and fun and creativity, and that once, and again, this is me, and it's got that intensity, and it needs to last. It's wanting to accomplish things. Now, I don't know how that energy would narrate for you, but to kind of back it up, it's this sort of like stinging goat, mostly scorpion, but like with this, like a tenacity, like overcome. Like, yeah, I'm getting this anger, this stick-to-itness, this coldness, this stinger, this strong feeling. That's what's coming through. It's also being trined, more or less. This one's more Mercury, but there's definitely still a trine to Mars and Gemini, which is restless and all over the place, and wanting to distribute its ideas, wanting to try it, demonstrate it, engage with it, do the very human thing, like perform the task, accomplish it, win it, beat it, best it, solve it, play with it, trick it. Like there's that energy. That Mars is in charge of Scorpio. So it's interesting because it's an out of element trine, so it's airy, watery, bubblies. Traditionally, those things, Gemini and Scorpio have a really interesting relationship. Gemini is all about the engagement, connection, and playful interaction, and it requires the connection of others. And Scorpio is like, I'm doing the show on my own. So it's almost like the Scorpio energy, which is like, I I want to accomplish this. I want to get this done. I've focused in on it. Is being rolled over by something that is being like taken in lots of different directions. It's like you can do a lot of different things. You can try a lot of different things, and it's like it's all over the place, and it's in charge of this. But there's this like deep. I think again, I'm applying it to my chart because I'm the person I'm interacting with the most right now. But I'm attempting to be neutral. It's so much easier to get specifics. Maybe I should just focus on myself and then be like, oh, I can do this for you too, if you'd like. Maybe that's a better way of showcasing it. So stars guide me. Brain guide me. Maybe I'll just share my chart. And if people want their chart read by me, they can do that. They can come up with the ideas. They can wrestle with it if they want it. It's entertainment. It's a challenge. It's a game. Is it valuable? Is it not? Is it dangerous? I'm not trying to fuck anyone over. I'm really not. Okay. That restless Mars is in charge, and it's in Gemini, which is ruled over by Mercury in Libra. Mercury in Libra is pretty close to Virgo, which is nice. It's airy. It's also trining it. Man, this idea of what's fair, what's balanced, what's just, what's beautiful. Think, what is fair, what is just, what is balanced, what is harmonious, what is what is your part, what do you have to do in order to maintain that, what do you need to learn about? I mean, wanting a just and fair thing, it's really interesting. Like, the thing that I'm struggling with, in my own life, is that I know that I have been given more privileges than some people. That is undeniably true. I accept that fact. And then people are like, you should be grateful. And I'm like, I should be grateful? Who do I owe? Whenever I identify with this body and these memories, this ego, it was born into existence by other people's choices. And yet, there's this awareness that people from across time can leave messages in the form of art, or on cave paintings, or in stories about the stars. Like, people can share, people can inform, people can create and play with the materials. We can move society in a direction that we want to move it. I'm angry that someone says that I should feel something. I feel like my feelings are a natural arising in response to the environment at hand. Sometimes I feel angry, sometimes I feel happy, sometimes I feel good. I understand that it may not be realistic, it may be cold to say, like, I want that all the time, but I'm like, what the fuck else are we gonna do? What the fuck else are we gonna use to strive for? Like, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm tired, I'm sad, I have issues. Okay? I want to feel better, and I want to share those feelings with others. It seems common sense. It seems like we're going to have to make some changes as a species, so that Mercury in Libra wants the balance, wants the harmony, wants the fairness, wants the kind of like balancing act of that, and probably wants to take a nap. I've been learning that people think that Libra wants to nap. I mean, people like to nap. Napping has to go somewhere. Napping is sort of resting. Maybe a Libra needs a nap. Anyways, that Mercury in Libra is in charge of Gemini, which has Mars. So there's that. I want a harmonious, fair, balanced thing. I know that I can go for that in a bunch of different ways, which is the way that may be hard for me to admit, that may be challenging for me, that I could potentially love. How can I love my body in a way that's more warrior-like? The thing that's coming up for me is maybe exercising, maybe performing some sort of like routine. As a challenge to myself after this, I'm going to take off this dress and get in my Speedo. Oh wait, I'm already in my Speedo. And I'm going to go for a swim and maybe do some arm workouts. Whoops, it's locked. But yes, Speedo. I've got my portable desk here. Portable desk. Listen, y'all. This is how the equipment is working right now with the money and the materials. It's practice. Maybe it benefits you. harmonious Libra balancer Wonder, in charge of restless Mars, wanting to do a lot of different things. Oh, God, I feel so much. In charge of that. Now Mars is in charge of Scorpio, and that the Sun is pulling in Leo's energy, the Moon is pulling in Cancer, a little bit of a touch of wrath, a touch of injustice, a touch of unfairness, perhaps a touch of bitterness. Also pulling in Venus's territory, which is Libra and Taurus, which means we're getting a little bit of a craving for revolution, perhaps. Find it in yourself, find it in your habits, find it in your day-to-day routine. Okay, I'm trying. Pulling in, of course, that Mercury again. So we've kind of reached the loop there, so it's kind of this mostly individualistic thing. All the inner planets are being incorporated back into this eclipse. So it's sort of like a you and I as individuals doing our own part kind of a thing. It doesn't have the collective energies of, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Pluto is squaring and Saturn is trining Mercury. So there's a lastingness. Yeah, there's some sort of like absolute resolve, some sort of cold and final thing. Like, I'm thinking of a black hole. Like, it's in the same way that the sun, anything that gets close to it is going to potentially get absorbed and transformed into the fires. Anything that gets near a black hole, well, we don't exactly know what happens, but I think the word is spaghettification, and that's from NASA. But essentially, even light is like, has gravitational mass to it, and black holes are so, it's called a singularity. And again, it's not like I can go and touch the black hole like I can touch this laptop. Like, I kind of like the reflective circle. Anyways, black holes, allegedly, which there's pictures of now, they were theorized based upon mathematics, and now they are identifiable. The black hole closest to us is in Sagittarius. So something sort of like really like optimistic and powerful and otherworldly. And Sagittarius is a really interesting thing, but it's an interesting thing to study. It's an interesting thing to play with, but Sagittarius is probably more. If I'm going to talk about black holes, I probably should talk about Sagittarius energy. And Sagittarius is not an incredibly focal point of the new moon, at least at this point, because Jupiter, I mean, it is maybe giving even more optimism to this Mars in Gemini, because it's about to go back into Pisces, which is, I mean, Jupiter in Aries, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with Jupiter in Aries at all, which is more neutral, so hopefully it's going to get a little more power, plus my sun is at 27 degrees. I don't know what it wants to do for me. If there is a blessing, a big blessing coming my way, perhaps it is. I'm down to receive it. Let's let it happen. Let's let it happen. Let's maximize, because of course I want good things. Of course I want blessed things. And I want help, and I want resources, and I want spaciousness, and beautiful partnership, and expansive benefits. And I'm going to ask for them. I'm going to keep asking for them. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep hoping. I'm going to keep trying to be reasonable and not an asshole, and also just fuck. You know what I mean? So, yes, but the new moon, mostly personal planets. Sun, moon, pulling in those two, ruled over by Mars, ruled over by Mercury, ruled over by Venus. Yeah, there's this forms this sort of it's not a square, it's not just like a really strong like thing to work with. It's kind of like if you're working with a square, it's uncompromising in some ways. It's like if you try to put a square like this, it's gonna fall down. Like it's a really powerful shape, but you only can work with it in so many ways. This one's a little more interesting. Like, it's a bit, when I say interesting, it's just, I don't mean better or worse, I just mean like the rules of this square are, there's some parts that would create a nice flow, so it's like a triangle shape. Like, it creates energy, it whisks things. Like, if you were when you interact with that kind of shape, it like, and also the law of attraction and gravity and all those things, like triangles create, they don't have the stability. Like, you can't build on a triangle. A triangle is more cutting and like dividing, and it's got a flow to it. So flow from the ruler. The flow from the ruler is a good sign. Yeah, move, do it, accomplish it, fight the battle, take the challenge. Obviously, I don't want to promote violence or anything like that. I want us to find the best resolutions possible. Let's talk it out. Let's explain away. Let's learn. I don't want to create problems, but I know that you also may have to defend yourself someday. The Bible says to turn the other cheek. Krishnamurti says that defense is the first act of violence. I just want to find ways to live peacefully, and I don't think being a vegetable and just being subjected to harm from others is a good idea. Like, imagine if Jesus had not been crucified. Wouldn't that have been a better situation? Are we wanting Jesus to be on the cross? He had to do it. He had to die for our sins. Can we not kill a very nice, powerful, mystical creature that is healing people? Like, maybe we could incorporate some of that. I'm down if I don't want to kill Jesus. But in the Bible, from what I can remember, Jesus was like met with a kind of like disciple, I forget which one, who I don't want to misquote it, but was like saying something along the lines of like, Jesus, like, let's skip that. Let's bypass that dying aspect. And Jesus, I believe, was sort of like, don't, away from me, Satan. Like, calling one of his intimate friends Satan. Like, Jesus, like, really going off. Like, there's a lot of interesting stories and a lot of interesting ideas about Jesus, and some of them seem saintly and some of them seem aggressive. And if you're from my family, my lineage, I mean, really interesting to start comparing. And who are we to judge and who are we to compare? And astrology is basically just judging and comparing. So, anyways, I long for betterment. I long for peace. I long for betterment. I long for healing. I long for joy. I hope you're well. Anyways. Yeah, this shape is a little interesting. There's some struggling, there's some energy flow, perhaps a bit of escapism, a bit of humanitarianism. Maybe you can escape into humanitarianism. We'll learn a little bit about how that kind of stuff works. Jupiter's within 10 degrees of Neptune, so something with reach. Neptune dissolves in especially in Pisces, because Pisces is like flowing. It's still a fish. It's still one of the things in the ocean, but Neptune is like, man, it's like a school of fish. And then Jupiter coming in there, it's like a massive school. It's like schools of fish, like so much like genius and connection and merging and so many fishes, all the fishes. Man, the universe, eclipses, like the reality that we're talking about, but like we don't know why gravity happens. We're just observing the rules of it. Why? Chiron's been hanging out at a very... It feels like it's not moving. I guess it is, but it just feels kind of like it's not. There's a wounded healer, I think, that's animating me right now. Some sort of insanity. Ugh. My jaw. I'm just like, trying to stretch out of whatever this funk is. Just. What else do I want to say about this? What is this inspiring? Consulting occult ideas. I get why it's dangerous. I get why it's outsourcing. But it is sort of fascinating and fun and enlivening and immersive. For me. To feel engaged, creating a story. This one's a story. I can tell my own story. I can do it. I can write. I can do it. I should do it. I should try. Slowly and surely. Trying. Breathing, moving. Man, I just feel all of it. The tension. Blessed be. Blessed be. What do I want to say? Is there anything else? I hope this was helpful. I hope it entertained you if it did. I hope you're doing well. We're in this together somehow. It's happening. Somehow, we don't know how, but it's observable. You're observable, I'm observable. There are stories, there are emotions, there are challenges. It could be nonsense. It may be helpful. The eclipse is coming. Maybe we should just spend a little more time talking about that. Like, how that the moon, which is not always the exact same distance away from the Earth, because it's not a perfect circle around the Earth, which is kind of freaky. Anyways, and also an interesting thing about the moon that you can read, verify by NASA and other tools, much more materialistic tools than the occult imaginative tools. They are aware that the size of the moon in comparison to the size of the Earth is interesting. The moon is, of the other planets that have satellites and things like that, like the Earth and the moon are closer to the same size. So that's kind of neat. So the masculine and the feminine, there's still a disparity, but there's this idea that the feminine, the elusive, is almost, it's not almost as big, it's much smaller, but it's bigger than the other ones. So other planets, if there was life on them, what would that mean? How would it be different? I mean, we can't really know that, I suppose, because ours is the only planet that has life on it, which is kind of magnificent and kind of terrifying and kind of confusing. But there's a couple walking the dog. I'm gonna go exercise. I'm gonna go swim. Love, light, and the snakes bite, my friends. Eclipses are things that occur annually. We can map them out. We can know when they're coming. They're not a surprise. But I think Eclipse probably is more representative of shadowy surprises. If you have Scorpio stuff going on, shadowy surprise time. If you have Taurus stuff going on, shadowy surprise time is what it would be, astrology, if it does correlate specifically to something that people who have planets around those times would reasonably need to be demonstrating that it does have some relevance. The irony is, it may not. I don't know. But we do exist, and we should probably make the most of it. And maybe you like this. Maybe you do not. Feel free to share it, like it. Talk, exist. I'm trying.